Kelly, we could just skip the PeerDeck stuff too and just do the presentation.
All right, we are recording. Hi, everybody. My name is Tim Owens. I'm one of the conference committee members for the Virginia Society for Technology and Education. I'm joined by a couple people. First and foremost, Tamara Letter, if you want to wave. She is going to be moderating this session. So as you'll notice, when you come in, your microphone's going to be muted, but please feel free to put questions down there in the chat. We'll get those to the presenters. And without further ado, our presenters today are Kelly Troxel and Tara Walters, and they're both from Harrisonburg City Schools. They're ITRTs, and they're going to be talking to us about feedback. So with all of that, I will turn it off to you.
Yes, great. And I'm Kelly Troxel, and this is
Tara Walters.
Yes, and we are instructional technology resource teachers for Harrisonburg City Schools. And today we wanted to have you guys join our PeerDeck, and it looked like we were having some technical difficulties at first. So I want to just basically walk you through the steps and let's see if we can't get this to work. One thing that PeerDeck has added just this week is the ability for you to co-present or co-teach within a PeerDeck. So I'm opening up my teacher presentation dashboard quickly. I launched a new session hoping that this will work for you all to be able to join. I've removed the idea of having to sign in using your Google account. So give me one moment. Tara, I'm adding you as a co-teacher quickly. And Tara, I'm going to throw it into our chat because I really would love to be able to use this today. So give me one moment.
Looks like it's already working for folks, so that's very
Yay,
exciting.
Wonderful. That's what I like to hear. So Tara, there you go. If you'd like to co-present with me, that would be great. And for everybody else, we are going through joinpd.com, and then we have our join code is XGDVNF. If you'll go ahead, tab in to join our PeerDeck, and we're going to use this not only to share as a platform for feedback for today, but to have you engage with this as from the student view. So like we said, welcome. I'm Kelly, and this is Tara, and this is the future of feedback and why it matters, and how to do it in a virtual landscape. So we are going to begin today with introducing 4 different platforms. And so Seesaw is going to be the first one that we'll start with. So if you'll tab over to our PeerDeck and go ahead and move your dot to indicate how familiar you are with this platform, that would be great. And then once you've done that, if you'll tab back over to the Zoom meeting and we'll look and see where we are. Okay, so we are all over the place. That's great. I am showing you the presentation mode in PeerDeck, and you can see that all the attendees are all over, from this is brand spanking new to they use it all the time with their students. So if you haven't tabbed back over to Zoom, come on back. And I want to talk to you today about how we use these different platforms to give constructive feedback to our students. And while we are virtual at this time, we also, okay, got a lot going on here. We also, excuse me, there we go. We also can be doing this in a live environment. So we're hoping that you'll take these platforms and apply them, hopefully using feedback now, but also into the future. So Seesaw, if you're not familiar with Seesaw, is a learning journal that allows teachers and students to use tools like drawing, microphone to record, picture and video options, as well as text to complete work, show understanding, and reflect on learning. Harrisonburg City, where we teach, pays for Seesaw for Schools subscription at the elementary level, which allows for a lot of additional features. So feedback in Seesaw can be written. It can have audio recordings, video providing additional support. It's shared with the students' work as a notification, and also guardians that are connected via Seesaw Family can also get notifications when their students have received feedback. And then students have the opportunity to use this feedback, of course, to then go back and edit their work, or when it's sent back in draft form, they can continue doing this. Okay, I don't know what is going on my screen, but I'm going to go ahead and pop over to Seesaw now. And this is my Seesaw Journal. And whenever students have submitted work, it comes to the teacher as needing approval when that's toggled on in settings. And I would always suggest leaving that on. So as the teacher, I can always click here and view the activity or post that needs approval and feedback. And it's just taking a moment to load. And this will give it to me by each student who has completed it. But I like to go to activities within the Seesaw Journal and approve and give feedback this way. And again, it's taking just a moment to load. And there it goes. So it's saying I need to review, but what I like about this view is it also kind of gives me a summary of who needs approval, the drafts that are out, and who hasn't responded. So when I click on this, it's also taking just a moment to load. When it loads, it will give me all the students that are connected to this Seesaw Journal. If they haven't responded at all, it stays grayed out. If they have responded, it'll give me the review. And then if they are still in draft form, like you see here, it'll be in draft. So I'm going to click into Piper's because she is finished. And what is commonly used for people who are familiar with Seesaw is they will like, let me get this out of my way here. There we go. They will like, they can choose to comment and they can type to add their comment, or they can add audio by clicking the microphone. But today I wanted to showcase a lesser known way for giving feedback to students when they have submitted in Seesaw. So to do a video commentary for feedback, you would click the 3 dots and go to Edit Post. And so now I'm in as if I was the student. What you're seeing is an hour of code activity that I used with students this week. And on one of the slides, I asked for them to move the tasks to create an algorithm that has a loop. And so here I see what the student has done. And what I want to show you is how I can give feedback to the student. I could do a microphone and then just connect audio to tell the student what I thought of this and what they could do to improve it. But what I also like to do is I like to come in, and go to the camera and go to video. And so you're going to see me pop up here in just a second. Oh, it's because I'm using it by another website. It's not going to let me do this. But what I would be able to do is I would be able to record a video of me giving the student feedback, and then it would show up on its own page. What I always recommend to my teachers who use this is they could take the video that they create and just slide it to being the first page for the student. So when they come back to their draft, because that's how I'm going to send it back to them, they will see my video first for the feedback. And at that point, the student would be able to continue editing and finally reflect on learning and then select check when they're finished. So I'm going to go through and just click draft for the student. And it comes back to their in progress folder in their own Seesaw Journal that they're working on. So this is great to be able to do this asynchronously. And you can really use this to differentiate learning and offer really great, rich feedback anytime, either virtually or if you are in person. So I'm going to hop back over to our presentation, and I'm going to pause and see, are there any questions related to Seesaw and feedback at this time?
We did not have any questions posted in the chat, but Stacy was just making a comment about that she'd love to use the mic if she wanted to manipulate the template and model for the student how to correct their work.
Exactly, yes. So when you're using the mic, you can draw. I love it when I'm using it with math. So if a student is having trouble understanding a concept, I could actually either draw directly on their work, or I could open a new page that has a blank white page. So it's basically a whiteboard, and I could provide direct instruction for that student using the microphone. Yep, and the drawing tool. Seesaw does an incredible job with their PD. So at the end of our presentation, Tara and I are providing a bit.ly link to this presentation. Feel free to click on any of these things so that you can access their PD and learn more about that. Also, I have a slide where I have a doc and a video explaining the steps to giving video feedback for students if you wanted to use that or use it with your staff. And so if you'll hop back over to PeerDeck, and we'd love to get some feedback as to how familiar you are with this platform that we're presenting on right now. Go ahead and pop back over and let us know. And I'll show you guys the responses again. Give you a moment. And while you're doing that, I'll just say that just like Seesaw, where we have a paid subscription in Harrisonburg, PeerDeck, you have the ability to have a free and a premium. And so in Harrisonburg City, we have just purchased having PeerDeck for the premium features, which is really great. So here we are, PeerDeck. Whoop. What is going on?
So Kelly, I think what happened is when you posted that link to me, it went out to everyone. So I think some people accidentally joined the session as a co-teacher in PeerDeck. So some people who are navigating between slides are actually doing it as a co-teacher, which moves our slides as well.
Well, that makes sense.
Yep, that's what I didn't want to interrupt, but I was trying to figure out while you're talking. And I think that's what's happening is that other people are moving it because the link was a co-teacher link.
Okay.
The link, you send it to me intentionally, but then other people unintentionally used that one instead of the join PD and the thing.
Right. Okay. So since that's where we're at, let me, because this is really kind of getting crazy, isn't it? So let me hop out of that. And Tara, what I'm going to do is just present, and I'll move your screen as we go, if that's okay with you. Okay. Sorry, friends. I feel like I'm within good company, so we know that, you know, we have technology issues from time to time. All right. So PeerDeck is the platform that we've been using to present today. And with PeerDeck, this is an add-on that you can use with PowerPoint, or you can use it with Google Slides. Harrisonburg is a Google Enterprise division, and so we use it with our Google Slides. So PeerDeck has the ability to be added onto those slides, and then the teacher can launch that to students in teacher mode, where the instructor is pacing it, and it's usually done synchronously. But with PeerDeck, you also have the ability to use it asynchronously or in student mode so that students can pace themselves. So when giving feedback in PeerDeck, there are several ways that you can do that. One is by inserting follow-up questions within your synchronous session. So if you are, you know, going through your slides and you've given feedback and there's an opportunity to further the discussion, you can add follow-up questions. You can also use end of class templates. And when you do that, it's kind of the same idea. You can just add a template slide to the end of that. And then you can also use takeaways, and takeaways are great because you can, those go to the students, they're saved in their shared drive folder space. And then also as a teacher, it is saved in your drive. So I'll show that to you in a moment. The other thing that you can do to provide feedback is when you are in teacher mode within PeerDeck. The students, as they're responding to things, you can pull that up. And then by clicking on this little comment bubble, speech bubble, you can provide feedback there. And from the students mode, they have the comment icon and it turns red with a red circle, and they know there's new feedback from the teacher. The new feature of being able to have co-teachers in PeerDeck is new this week, as you're finding out from the presentation. And when you have multiple teachers in there, they're also able to comment directly on there. So let's see. There we go. So they have those abilities as well. Let me move on. And with PeerDeck, you can also, just like with Seesaw, you have the ability to get more professional development by going to the PeerDeck Institute. All right. Ms. Tara, if you want to take over.
Sounds good. So the next thing I'm going to be talking about is Google Classroom. And so I see that we have people all the way on the spectrum of don't use it or seen it and not use it. So I'm going to show you a little bit about feedback in Google Classroom. This is just a fake Google Classroom we made for training. And so one of the things for feedback is that you can actually just type it right in the stream. So if you're using Google Classroom, it's pretty basic, but you can do a lot with it. So there's different like feeds. So you have stream, classwork, and then this is people and grades. But in the stream is where you can just type messages. Kids can and teachers can see everything that's being posted. And so you could actually just type something in here for your student, the feedback, and then just select the one student that you want to give feedback to. And so then when they log in, they will see this feedback in their stream. So for example, maybe you're doing a reading conference and you had some follow-up feedback after you talked with the student. It wasn't attached to any sort of specific assignment. It was just some feedback you wanted to give that student. You could do that here. The thing I love about Google Classroom, though, I'm going to go over to this classwork tab. And in the classwork, you can actually create assignments. And so if you haven't played around with this, I would definitely recommend giving it a try. I really, really like the assignment feature. And so I gave my student an assignment, and I'm going to click on it. I'm going to click on the view assignment. And so this is like my teacher view, and so I only have one fake student in here. So what I can do is I can click on the assignment and I can give the student feedback that way. It actually, see here it says private comments. I could also, if I just clicked on the student's name over here, I would also get the ability to type in a private comment down here at the bottom, and it's the same thing. So it's two places to put it. So I could type in a private feedback comment to my students here. One of the things that might be a little bit lesser known is, I recommend maybe using voicerecorder.com to do a recording of your voice to give students feedback, especially kids that might have challenges with reading. Or you could also use Loom, which is a screen recording tool, and the premium features are free for teachers. And you can actually record yourself giving video feedback and then just paste the link in the comments here. So that's another way to give good feedback to students when in Google Classroom. The final thing you could do is you could actually come into their document. And so this was just a fake assignment. And so the student mentioned 2 out of the 5 regions of Virginia. And so maybe I would want to highlight where the student says, oh, there are 5, but they only named 2. So maybe I want to highlight in here where they said that, and then use this comment feature right here and just add a comment like, give the student feedback. That's great that there's 5 regions. I noticed that you mentioned 2 of them. Are you able to add in the other 3? So this would be a great place to put that comment right on the document. We'll talk about it in a minute, but it is important that kids also know to be looking for this feedback and the expectations around that. And then this is I just inserted a blank Google drawing into my doc. And so the student was also supposed to draw some things here. So again, I might put in a comment here, or I might just use the thing that I mentioned before and put all of my feedback in this one box. It's up to you as a teacher what you think will work best for you and your students, or maybe for that specific assignment. So that's Google Classroom. I'll pause for a moment if anyone has questions on Google Classroom. Okay, one of you, oh, sorry.
No, you're fine. I was just letting you know that we're good to go.
All right. The other thing I forgot to mention is that some teachers like to pop in like either like Bitmojis or memes. Like if you want to go into editing mode on the student's assignment, sometimes I like to mention to students like, hey, I like to do this. Is this something that you're okay with just in general since it is their work? But you could pop into editing mode and add like a funny meme or a Bitmoji or something. Obviously, that's not an example of quality feedback, but it's definitely a motivator for a lot of students if they know their teacher's going to be adding feedback and something kind of fun to look at. So it might make students a little bit more motivated to go back into an already previously completed assignment to look for that feedback. So that's something that I would definitely do with my students. All right, moving on to Flipgrid. Flipgrid is great. If you haven't used it before, it's just a recording tool and it's free. I think Microsoft owns it, but it's free for us to use, and you record a video and then students can record video responses. This week, I think they just launched that the students don't have to do a video response. They could just voice instead, which people are very excited about. So here's my example in Flipgrid. So I'm asking students, this is me as a teacher here, to do a rounding activity. And then down here are the responses. Slightly confusing because it's also me as a fake student, but that's okay. So I'm going to click on my fake student's name, SES1. And then this here is me as a student, and there's a whiteboard feature. So that's why there's this big blank white screen over here. And then as a teacher, I can come under here and just give public comment. Like if I wanted everyone to see something, I could comment so everyone could see it. But here in this feedback tab, I can click on that and I have two options. I can record video feedback, which I did for myself wearing the same clothes I was here. So again, if that's confusing, I apologize. But this is me as the teacher. So I can record video feedback to my students, which I just think, especially now with distance learning, is just so powerful because students can, see you, and it just seems a little bit more authentic than just, written text. But I also think even once, we're not doing distance learning, this is just a really great way to reach students because we're all very busy and trying to do so much. This is a great way where you could leave feedback for the students without having to like meet with them individually all of the time. The other thing is you also have private comments here. So you could do the typed comments in here as well if you want to do both. So that's Flipgrid. I think it makes it really easy to do video feedback for students, and it's a really easy program to use with students. They just click on the link and it's really great. Any questions about feedback on Flipgrid?
I did not see any questions in the chat, so I think we're good to go.
All right, so the last thing I want to talk about in here is we have 3 little tips for everyone. We have videos in our presentation as well that you can watch after this if you want to learn more. And just a big shout out to Nikki Foster, who may be in here. She let us, she has some videos that are hers in here that we use. So thank you, Nikki. Just a few tips is consistency and expectations are so important for our students, right? We could spend all this time doing the best feedback ever based on research and everything, but if the students don't know to go back and to look for it, how often, when, what they should do with that, then, then our time isn't well spent. So it's important that we build this consistency of feedback with students, and that's sort of what's going to work for you as a teacher. And then how are the kids going to use that feedback? What is your expectation if you say like, hey, I want you to add the other 3 regions of Virginia? Are the kids expected to go back and do that, or is it just like well, that would be nice? It's up to you, but you just have to make sure you have that set for your class. Making time, I know this is something that takes a lot of time to do meaningful feedback, but it's important that we focus on quality over quantity. So if teachers, if their brains are thinking like, oh man, I can't do this on everything I assign my kids, 1, you don't have to do it on everything you assign, but 2, thinking about making less assignments with more quality feedback and opportunity for revisions versus more assignments. That's another tip. And then finally, Kelly has a great video on here to watch, but I'll just summarize it quickly about, it's important that your feedback is goals, right? Not just like a good job, thumbs up, right? That you're, that you're giving the kids actionable things that they can do. You're making them feel good about their learning and being encouraging. It's helping, it's connected to the task that they're doing. It's not just like generic feedback. It's actually specific to what they're doing, and it gives them the opportunity to work a little bit more on their own without the teacher telling them what they need to change directly, but it's still, scaffolded support from the teacher with hints going towards what they need to be working on. I was reading the other day on Twitter, it was like a tweet thread from like Dan Meyer, the 3-Act Math and Desmo's person. I think he was talking about digital feedback on something, and was talking about, I think he used the word like wrong but brilliant. Like, how do we show kids like that their stuff is wrong but they're still brilliant? And I really, really, really liked that. And like Kelly mentioned, all of these strategies are stuff that we think are great for in-person learning as well. So it's not just unique to our virtual environment. I think that's all we have. We wanted to save a little bit of time for questions or comments. If you have something else that you've done and you want to share, great. So we wanted to leave some time for that as well.
And Tara, if you want to go ahead, advance to the last slide, I threw our bit.ly link into the chat. If that's something you would like as a resource, feel free to use the videos, make copies as you see fit. Sure. There aren't any questions. Thanks so much.
Fantastic. I didn't see any questions, but lots of great feedback and things. I know definitely for me, these were some tools that I was aware of, but you always find, oh, I didn't know I could use that in that way. And I think that's the key thing, is like we hear about Seesaw and Flipgrid and stuff all the time, but it's like, how do you use it practically for really specific purposes? So thank you both so much. And this session will be recorded, so this will be on the schedule for folks to refer to later as well. So thank you all so much, and enjoy the rest of your day.
Thank you.
You're welcome. Thanks, everyone.
Bye.
Bye.